video, we're going to look at the overall process of adding either photos, images, or documents to articles that you might add to your website. And we've mentioned it before as part of many of the other videos about how you can add, but we haven't gone through the paces of what it means to add and the different choices that you have, because you basically have three options. So let's go to the website here, and I'll just pick one of the items that I've got and we'll use that as a demonstration. So I'm going to edit this particular article here, and there's the normal information we have when we add any article to a web page. Now I'll deal with this section here first. You do have an image button here, and that allows you to add only a photograph into this area here as part of the text. So let's go through that. So we'll click on there, and it wants to know where to get the image from, and then you can click on your little camera here, and these are the images that you have to choose. Now I'm just going to close that for a second, and that one as well, to go back. When you use this insert image here, and it's going to place it into this area with the text, you can only get the image from the repository. So you have to make sure that the image has been put into the repository before you do that. Now to put an image into the repository, you go through your repository manager over on the side here, and that gives you a choice to upload images or documents into the repository. Now it's important that if you use this particular function here to put the item within the text here, and you do choose something from the repository, you mustn't delete it, because if you do, when this item shows on the web page, it won't be seen because you've deleted the item. We have no control over it. So it's really important that you have an awareness about that. So let's go through and pick an item that's there. There's the 4 items that I have in the repository at this stage. They're all pictures. There's no files or anything else like that. So they're all pictures. So I'm going to click on one of them to add. You can see here you've got a delete button, but as I said, you need to be careful in deleting them. You don't delete something you're already using in another article. I'll pick this one because that looks pretty futuristic. Caravan of my choice one day. Now you can see here it's got the size of it. Now keep in mind, on your different web pages you might have either 5 columns, 4 columns, 3 columns, 2 columns, or 1 column. So the size of this item might be too big for the column that you're trying to put it into, and therefore you'll lose half the picture. And you're going to have to just do a little bit of trial and error here. And I'm suggesting that 529 by 298 is probably going to be too big, because the first one is the width and that one is the height. I'm just going to reduce this one to 200, and it's important to note here that it's got the tick here for constrained proportions. That'll keep it in proportion so you don't end up with a skinny person or a fat person or a squash person as a result. So it's important to leave that tick there. I might change it to 200, and you'll notice when I click out of there the other measurement changes automatically. So we click on OK, and there's the picture. So that's no drama in itself. And of course you can grab the little tags on the corners here, and you can make it a bit bigger, and you can see the measurements coming up down near the arrow there, or you can make it smaller. So you do have a choice there about how you deal with that. And of course there's the text that goes either just beside it or underneath it, depending on what you do. I just press the enter key there to just push it underneath. So there's the image, and now of course I can, before I update it, I'm just going to go to the tools and the source here and see the address where it's finding the picture. It's going to the repository that you can see here, and that's where the repository is. Now if you delete that file whilst you're doing some other process, then this article will not be able to find it, and you won't see the picture on the page. And there's just nothing you can do about it because you've deleted it. So just be aware of that. I'm just going to say OK now, and I'll say update, and there's the picture, and you can see it's too big. See, I'm using 3 columns here. I think I chose something like 220 or something, so it's too big. And I can click on the picture and I don't see a larger one like we're used to seeing in other parts of the website, for example, like over here or other places. So that's another thing that happens when you put your images in that way. Let me go back to edit. Of course, what this does do, it allows you to put in, I'll make that one a bit smaller by just clicking on it and then dragging the corner. Be careful not to drag the side, because you drag the side, well, it'll do both, so it's not really an issue, but you've got to be careful you don't end up making the person super thin or flatten them out. If I click beside that and insert another image and go through the same steps, and we'll pick that one there. It looks pretty good with the little red sports car underneath. Now, obviously that size is going to be miles too big. I might make that 150, for example, and then OK. So let's put that one in front of that one. So I can have the two images in the article. So that's a way of adding 2 or 3 images to your articles, which might be a good thing, but remember that when someone clicks on those images in the article, they don't enlarge to see a larger view. That's the normal process. By double clicking that and then clicking on the little picture symbol here, it'll bring up the information for that article. Now you've got some style information you can put in here, and there's a common one called float, a colon and then left and a semicolon. Now if I do that, it'll actually let the text wrap around the picture. So let me try the same thing with this one. Double click, click on the image, advanced, float, colon, left, semicolon, and OK. See how the text has now gone around the images? We should be able to, well, you can move it down to a certain extent. So that's a way to get the text to go around your image rather than having white space beside it. But again, I think we'll find that that's probably too wide with the 2 pictures there. So we'll update, we'll have a look at the page, and it's pushed it down because we had that float equals left. But you can see it's left some of the writing up the top here, so it hasn't worked entirely the way we would like it to work. So it's a little bit tricky. And again, you can't click on those images to view larger images. Okay, let's go back and edit. Now if I want to get rid of those images, I just simply click on them and press the delete key on the keyboard, click on them so they go blue, delete. I'll just delete that blank line, and we've got our text back. And of course when I update it, the images aren't there, but of course they still got a bit of blank space down the bottom here, so we'll get rid of that, just so I don't end up with that white gap. The image is still in the repository. We haven't deleted it from there, we've only taken it out of this article. Now using this option, these options down here, they give you a different effect altogether. Now you can either browse from your computer, and if you do that, of course you can only pick one image. That's the only problem with this area here. You can only pick one image and put in. Or you can browse from the repository and you get a different view here, and you can click on that one to see what the picture is. Oh, I like that one. So now I can tick the box and insert it, and that will insert that image. Now these two work the same way. The only difference is this one gets it from the repository, this one gets it from your computer, but you only get one image. So now if we update, you can see it's put the picture in and it's sized it the right way so it fits. But now we've got the pointing finger, and when we click on it, we can see the larger view. So a totally different control mechanism is built in for anything that's put in through. And I'll just go to edit. These 2 options here. It doesn't matter if it's coming from your computer or the repository down here, because it's separate to this article. It's a separate, even though it looks like it's part of it on the screen, we can do more with it and we have more control over it, and that allows us to, of course, have the larger image, etc. And of course you can remove that image if you feel like you need to, or you can browse and just replace the image with another image if you need to. So that's how the three different things work. These two are basically the same, except one from your computer or one from the repository, but you can only have one of these two. You can't have both of them. So if you're thinking that you can put two pictures in that way, no, that won't work. You can only have one of them. So you only get one picture. I'm just going to remove that image. And this time I'm going to browse, but I'll get something from the computer because I didn't have a document in the repository. And hopefully, documents here, I can there we go, there's a PDF I can find. So I'll put that in, update. PDFs are great if you've got a document you want people to be able to download and print and read. And that's taking as long as it's taking because of the size of that particular document. And of course it depends on the speed of your internet as well. Size is super important, speed is super important. Don't care whatever you've read or whatever you've heard, nothing has changed from about 10, 20 years ago, except the internet's got faster, but the size and speed is still very much important. So let's go back, and you can see it's just put a little icon there because you can't see the contents of the PDF file. At this stage, just got that little icon there with the pointing finger, so people can click on that, and then it'll open up the PDF file in another window. They can read it, and then they can go through the options here. Okay, so there's our PDF document there, and we can close that, and it's still part of the article. Of course, I can edit that, and we can certainly remove that image if we want to, or that document in this case. It's even telling you how large it is when you go to download it, so it's 0.5 MB, so it's going to take a little while to download. So that's basically it, and this one's the one that's very different. A few different aspects to it, through here, through there, and that allows you to pick an image only from the repository. So you must have placed it there previously by using Repository Manager and upload, and then you can upload 20 or 30 at once if you want to, and then use them in different articles if you think you need to. Okay.